Hi there, Mickey. I'm good. You're muted, so I couldn't hear you, but
Hey, Mickey.
I could read your lips.
All
Hi there,
right.
Mickey.
I should be muted more often, John.
No
You're
way.
muted, so I couldn't hear you, but
Hey, Mickey.
I could read your lips.
Yeah. What were my lips saying? Anyways, it's nice to see you, John. Nice to see you,
Yes.
Jesse.
You as well. All right, guys, let's just get this party started. What do you think?
I think so.
So, I would like to apologize up front. I've had the flu for multiple days now, so I'm going to get all the talking done with as fast as I can and then just give the floor to Supervisor Peters here.
Mm.
So, let me just get to my notes really fast and then I will be ready. Uh-oh. There it is. Okay. I'm just going to read my little spiel here and then we're going to get going, everyone. So, welcome to Mammoth Voices. It's presented by Eastern Sierra Now. We're thrilled to have each and every one of you joining us today for this special Zoom meeting. Today's episode promises to be an engaging and enlightening session as we host the 4th District incumbent and candidate John Peters. Supervisor Peters brings a wealth of ideas and visions for our county, and we are excited to provide this platform for a thoughtful discussion. Your presence here is invaluable, and we encourage you to actively participate, ask questions, and be a part of this important conversation that shapes the future of our community. Now, a bit of housekeeping. First off, please turn off your cameras and microphones until asked to turn them on for the Q&A session. And special thanks to our advertisers. First off is the award-winning Devil's Creek Distillery bourbon made in Mammoth. They're a grain-to-glass distillery focused on barrel-aged spirits, namely whiskey, which I could use right now. We're fully family-owned and operated. And next is the Mammoth Chamber Green Business of the Year High Point Solar. Call Amy at 760-937-5849 for a free quote and to handle all your solar needs. And if you're wondering why I have such incredible facial hair right now, we'd like to invite everyone to Mammoth Lake's Repertory Theater's production of Clue, the original murder mystery. Clue is a thrilling and theatrical experience that combines mystery, humor, and interactive engagement, providing audiences with an exhilarating ride filled with suspense and unexpected twists. Clue will be performed at the Mammoth High School Theater February 16th and run through February 25th. And remember, it was not Colonel Mustard with the wrench in the billiard room. Okay, businesses looking to advertise, or if you'd like to be a guest on Mammoth Voices, reach out to us at mammothvoices@easternsierranow.com. For non-business owners, contribute at patreon.com/easternsierranow to help us grow and keep Mono voters informed. But enough preamble. Let's dive into the heart of today's forum. The District 4 incumbent, John Peters. Supervisor Peters will get 3 minutes to introduce himself, followed by a structured Q&A with timed responses. After the responses, we'll open the floor to your questions. Raise your hand or type in the chat box if you'd like me to read your question for you. We appreciate your patience as we are new to this and we aim to ensure everyone's questions are addressed. Our session will conclude at 12:30 p.m. Thank you for being here, and let's dive into an enriching dialogue with Supervisor John Peters. We'll give Supervisor Peters 3 minutes to introduce himself at this point. Supervisor Peters, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to note that this was not held exclusively for me, as it was, some emails went out saying an exclusive opportunity that other candidates were invited. And with that, I'll just tell you, I kind of know everybody. I can see who's on here. Maybe don't know Emily Hartman as well, but I've lived in Bridgeport and North Mono County for 25 years. Operated the Bridgeport Inn for all of that time. This will be year 26, and raised 3 children who one still lives in Mono County up in Antelope Valley, and got involved pretty much from the very beginning with just the community, with things as simple as coaching Little League and being part of the PTO, volunteering for the local chamber, just everything that when you move to a small community, they kind of, the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So I continued that type of activity and activism throughout my kids' school careers, and I also joined the Antelope Valley Lions Club. I'm still a member there, and just really wanted to be part of the community, be, serve the community, and kind of try to keep my finger on the pulse. And that led to, towards the end of my youngest school in Mono County, running for the Eastern Sierra Unified School District School Board. So I served 4 years on the school board, 1 term. And then as that term ended, I was going to run again. And I talked to folks out there, and folks talked to me, and thought maybe giving it a shot to run for supervisor would also be an option. And I did that. And in 2016, became elected to the Mono County Board of Supervisors, began my term in 2017, and haven't looked back. And just being supervisor, along with all other of my involvement in community organizations or community action groups, RPACs, whatever. I always feel that it's important to go all in, do everything you can to be effective in the role. I don't know when 3 minutes are up, but you can stop.
30 seconds.
Okay. So it's the same principles that I applied to being supervisor. Get involved, be out there, make sure your community has access to you, and you try to provide resources and opportunities to your constituents, to the county as a whole. And yeah, I think I'll just cut myself off there. I think that's good enough. Oh, I got
perfect timing. You had 5 seconds, so absolutely perfect timing. Thank you, Supervisor Peters. I would like to touch base on what you said at the beginning as well. We did reach out to Tron Gottfried, and he was scheduled to be on this Mammoth Voices with us, but at the last second, he chose to not participate due to some personal issues or something. So just to make sure that everybody understands that this isn't specifically going for Supervisor Peters. So,
I'll add to that. If you decide you want to do another one and he's available and I'm available, I'm happy to do that.
Perfect. That would be fantastic. I'll see if I can make that happen. Thank you. We truly appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to our first question. So this question, we're going to give you 5 minutes to answer, because it's a big one. There is a lot to be decided on a county level about how to proceed with housing development. What are your ideas for developing workforce housing throughout the county, not just your district? 5 minutes.
Okay. This could be like a 5-hour answer, or it could be also just a minute answer, really. Developing housing in Mono County is a daunting task. You have many, many factors to deal with, and the first and foremost is developers coming to Mono County, the unincorporated part of Mono County, simply will not see a return on investment based on the cost of construction. And even if you were to obtain property at little or no cost, the return on investment for current construction costs for even at market rate housing would take years and years and years. There's not a formula to make that happen. And so what can we do? We can try to incentivize developers with tax incentives, tax breaks. We can try to take existing housing that needs some rehabilitation, turn it into affordable workforce housing. We can, as the county is embarking on in recent months, we can look for existing short-term rental, multi-unit housing, and purchase it, turn it into long-term housing, affordable housing. But what comes with that is the management of that. So you have to be able to manage your properties. We've also looked at and have begun the process of acquiring property that's in tax default. It takes 5 years for non-payment of property taxes to allow for property to be auctioned off. And there's a mechanism in place for the county to come in and pay the back taxes, the amounts of the back taxes, and acquire those properties. So there's the potential there to acquire a property that has already, has wells, has some utility connectivity, so that you're not needing to buy a raw piece of land and create all new infrastructure for it. So those are some ways to get there. Mammoth has been very proactive and successful in different ways of engaging with Mammoth Lakes Housing or Eastern Sierra Community Housing, if that's their new name now. They've figured out ways to take lots of money that from outside sources, from the town itself, and attract developers that are willing to do bigger developments like the parcel. We can make incremental changes by just putting up 6 or 8 units in the communities of Bridgeport, Chalfont, Antelope Valley, in the unincorporated part of the county. A little will go a long ways. And I just, I met this week with the Forest Service, the chief of the Forest Service, to discuss how we can use, because we're 94% public lands. We don't have a lot of property as well to develop on. And partnering with the Forest Service on Forest Service land to develop housing is an opportunity. And there's been it took 10 years, but successfully done in Colorado in a ski town. And, we're not a ski town in Bridgeport, but we're part of a county that really is dependent on the economy of a ski town and the tax base there. We get 70% of our budget comes from property taxes from Mammoth. But those are some ideas, and but there's no silver bullet, and we have to keep trying and thinking outside the box to develop housing. And just to get something straight, that there's been, people are becoming aware that the county is looking at purchasing existing stock and converting it to long-term. It's not for county employees only. It could be for a county employee, but it's for just affordable housing in general, workforce housing in general. And that probably took up 5 minutes. So
That's your 5 right on the dot.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you for that, Supervisor Peters. Sounds like some great ideas, and like you have a really strong grasp of this subject, and that's what we need. So thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, next question. As a supervisor, you would be representing the entire county. Can you please name the top 3 issues that are confronting Mono County? And this one will give you 3 minutes.
Well, first one's easy, housing. And I would say it's tangential, really, because if you don't have the housing, it makes it tougher to recruit and retain employees, even at competitive salaries. So we have a hard time getting our workforce stabilized in Mono County in all sectors, the private sector as well as the public sector, because of the fact that we're remote and it takes quite a commitment to come here. So how we can overcome that, and then diversifying the economy. We're really dependent on recreation and our recreation-based economy. And if we had the ability to diversify and bring in other industry, there's not a big kind of enthusiastic support of mining in most of Mono County, but there could be mining in Mono County somewhere that would be environmentally safe, and it could bring some diversity to our economy. That's one aspect. But also even though our recreation economy, we rely on that, we still have opportunities within that to diversify what we offer, attracting more of the motorized up in the north part of the county. There's groups that will use existing trails in an environmentally safe way, doing NEPAs, CEQAs, whatever it takes, but bring in sectors that are not, feeling as welcome in Mono County as they do right over the border in Nevada. And but we need to diversify the economy. We have gig internet, for the most part, fiber to premise. Lots of businesses just require that online access. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, but it really takes initiative, and we have to figure out a way to create that year-round economy in all of Mono County that will bring people to all the communities, so that we can provide them, and then we could provide them with year-round services and just available, access to services, whether it's motels, restaurants, whatever. We can't keep them open in the winter in the north part of the county because of the lack of tourism. And the last, a thing I'll say, it's probably 3 minutes, but if we could figure out a way to keep Bodie more accessible in the winter, that would bring people here. Bodie's, it's there, it's staffed, it's open year round, but we got to work with Caltrans and other agencies, Forest Service, to try to get the people that are going to be here to be able to have access to go there.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you for that. That was, in fact, 3 minutes. So we'll move on to the next one. Could you please speak to the topic of fire resilience and wildfire protection, and what is currently being done in the county, and what is your understanding of these projects? Again, 3 minutes on this one.
Well, really the big project that has been in study phase and is really has traction is it's referred to as the donut. And through, in cooperation with the White Bark Institute, Sierra Nevada Conservancy, there's been funds that have been brought forward, and it's a project to thin mechanically the forest around the town of Mammoth. And that's it's a huge project. There's been some partnership with and Southern California Edison has also been part of the thinning projects that and recently they were able to take the wood, take the downed trees and provide it to tribes, trying to work with them to be able to work with all of these projects, and potentially we could provide access to more firewood for all communities. And there's something that the Forest Service, an initiative called the Wildfire Crisis Strategy. It's been launched now for a couple of years up here on the Humboldt-Tioga, received around $50 million to do forest resilience projects. And those can be prescribed burns, mechanical treatments, and what has to be identified and at the local level are landscapes that are appropriate for specific types of treatments. So we need our partners. We need our partner agencies. We need BLM, the Forest Service to be there with us, to help us to do these projects, because eventually it's all going to burn at some point. If we don't do any treatment, it's just the severity of the burn. And we saw how impactful those hot fires that move through, and just it's basically scorching the earth along with burning the trees. So I'm going to leave that one right there. We don't have that much time.
Perfect. Okay, next question. Let's just move on. Please name what you consider to be the top 2 challenges facing your district. And this one, you'll get 2 minutes.
Okay, well, you can't not say housing. So housing is our primary countywide, but also District 4 issue. We also have just access to services, access to basic medical care. Right now, we're even in a situation where we don't have a market, a general store in the town of Bridgeport, because they're doing remodeling, and I'm grateful that they're putting an effort to make the market better, and it's very tough when you're in Bridgeport or Antelope Valley or Levining. Bridgeport's pretty much the furthest away from 60 miles north or south to go to a pharmacy. It's getting the services to the people. And how do we do that? And, we have right now a kind of, a part-time clinic here in Bridgeport, but just if you don't feel well and you want to go and see somebody, a physician's assistant or a doctor, it may or may not fit within the hours that the clinic is open. We're trying to get dental in there, but that's working through Tyabe Indian Health Project. And so just access to services and the ability for our residents to come in with young families, live, grow, work as a family. And then as you get older, having the ability to stay where you want to be and live and have services, there's a senior center in Antelope Valley and Walker that does a lot with the seniors, but still, when you get to a certain point, you need additional services. And how can we do that? How do we get those? Okay.
Yeah, those are definitely pressing concerns. Thank you for your insight on that. Okay, we have our next question. It's considering that every civic leader has a different leadership style. Please share your individual style with us, and how might your style help the council be more effective in its strategic, or the board, excuse me, be more effective in its strategic planning and implementation. This one, again, will be given 2 minutes.
So I would like to first start with communication. You've got to be able to communicate effectively. You've got to be accessible. Then coordination. You have to know what to do with the resources that are available, or when they're not available. How do you coordinate, and then how do you collaborate? So communication, coordination, collaboration. You've got to be able to figure out a way on our board of supervisors to be able to take issues that are maybe not so important to certain parts of the county or certain supervisors and get consensus to get things accomplished. And you only, one vote does not get you a decision. One vote can make a statement, but you need to bring your board, or the town council for that matter, to consensus on items that are important to sometimes only small parts of the county, or only the unincorporated part of the county. And that is a constant battle, and it always will be. Recognizing that Bridgeport is the county seat, always will be the county seat, and we have to we have to provide the access to services. And as a leader, you need to be you need to be front and center and advocating for those issues, and always be accessible, and answer your emails, answer your phone calls, your texts, your messages, however they come, and deliver the honest answers, even though they're often not answers people want to hear. You have to be upfront and straight with everybody.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, and last question. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process for your district? 2 minutes on this one.
So it's all about access to the issues, and how do you get people involved? How do you encourage them to come? Going to meetings is not necessarily people's favorite thing to do, and you can't expect that people are going to always come to the board meeting or come to the RPAC meeting or the chamber meeting. Whatever public meetings there are out there, there's a lot of board meetings, but you have to be you have to make sure that your constituents, your communities know that you're there, and you're going to bring the information that your constituents would like you to advocate on behalf of them to these meetings. And town halls, getting people to show up even to a town hall, can be difficult. However, if you have a burning issue, a hotbed issue, that could potentially bring people, but also bring a little food and get them to come for a free meal. That sometimes works too. But it's important to be accessible, and it's what the people want from you, and understanding what they want from you, and providing that. And it's all about access to you. So I will continue to, I think, be very accessible to all folks in Mono County. It doesn't matter what district they're in, but of course, primarily in District 4, they want to know that you're advocating on behalf.
That's excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, we are going to wrap this up with 3 minutes for Supervisor Peters to give a closing statement. And then from that point, we will open the floor to any questions that anybody might have. And again, you can write them in the chat box if you'd like me to read them for you. So at this point, Supervisor Peters, if you could just give us a quick wrap up, you got 3 minutes.
Well, I know, and I see we have 4 minutes left on this.
Yeah, it's going a little bit.
To wrap up, just thank you for all of you who attended this. I'm happy to do another one. Obviously, I'm looking to get reelected. I really feel I have a lot left, a lot of gas in the tank left, and a lot of enthusiasm for the job, and want to continue to get done things that I think I can be effective in accomplishing in another term. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. That's a great segue then. Let's lead. Is there any questions from the audience? Yeah, Mickey.
Yeah, Supervisors Peters, I know you have represented us well in Sacramento. I was curious what your sense is. Do they understand our problems? Are they willing to help finance our problems? Just was curious what you see these days over there.
So yeah, here's like the basic premise of local government and being on the Board of Supervisors. What we always are advocating at the state and federal levels for local control of our resources, that filter in through the state from the feds directly. But yeah, we advocate as a California State Association of Counties. And so we advocate as 58 counties on issues. And the rural voice is strong right now. We also have rural county representatives of California. Supervisor Dugan's our representative on that. We are getting traction back in Washington, D.C. on rural issues, on just letting them know who we are. I've participated personally as a rural representative for California on issues like broadband, on health and human service issues. They are, I'm not saying they're getting their checkbook out readily just to give us money on all issues, but we have to be there at the table. We need to know that if homelessness in California doesn't get fixed, those are resources that are drained away from counties like us, that we have a different homelessness, or people live in their vans or can't find housing issue than the homelessness that's happening in the big cities. But they're dollars that are being drained from California, and we're in a it's what's called a cut budget year for the state of California, and that hasn't happened for quite a while. So there's cuts that are being made that will impact all of Californians, all of the counties of California, and we have to be there to make sure that the rural voice is heard. And I believe they are listening. And I mean, it was evident by just meeting with our representatives this past week, our senators, and our Congressman Kiley is very aware of the rural issues and is helping us with them, including our post office in Bridgeport right now. That's kind of a nightmare. But yeah.
All right, we have reached the time here. I'm willing to stay as long as Supervisor Peters is to answer questions if there is any more questions, but the scheduled time has reached. So if anybody needs to leave right now, that is perfectly fine. So if there's any other,
I'll say one thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll stay if there's more questions, but
right.
tonight at 5:30, the Bridgeport Chamber will have both candidates for District 4 be hosting us for a Q&A. And I'm being told that it should be available on Zoom to view. I don't think it's interactive on Zoom, but so if you're interested in that, send me a text or and I can connect you with the Bridgeport Chamber. But I think it's important to hear all the candidates, and I know you've done candidate forums with the other district races,
Mhm.
and I think that's a service that is important for Mono County. And I know when you call it the Mammoth Voices, it kind of people think, wow, that they're just talking about stuff in Mammoth, but you do recognize the rest of the county and the races that are going on outside, and that's important.
Absolutely. We want everyone to have a voice. That's for sure. Speaking of that, is there any other questions? I don't see any, so I think we are good to go. So it's clear you love Mono and your district and have some great ideas and plans to benefit everyone. So we want to thank you for your willingness to serve, Supervisor Peters. And thanks to the audience members for your insightful questions and for participating. Remember patreon.com/Eastern Sierra Now to help sponsor Mammoth Voices. And if you want to see this again, you can go to our YouTube page or go to easternsierranow.com/Mammoth Voices. You can also download the Eastern Sierra Now mobile app to get that today from your app store. So again, thank you to everyone for joining today, and we will conclude this session. Thank you.
Thank you.